Hello everyone and welcome for this new episode of the podcast In Shape to Grow for the English version. In Shape to Grow wants to inspire entrepreneurs to bring their health back to their business plan. As entrepreneurs, we need to keep our health as a priority. So let's see what other entrepreneurs advise and do to keep the endurance, to keep the energy, what's happening. So in today's episode, I'm very happy to introduce you Dan Tatton. Dan is a co-founder of a company called 7 Movement and is also a business coach. 7 Movement is the main company. He's an amazing pioneer for microdosing exercise for health. It's taking small bouts of exercise throughout the day, so it's changed your behavior and your health. If you think you don't have enough time to exercise, you're wrong. 7 Movement has the answer. You are at the office, 7 Movement has a program. You are a new mom, 7 Movement has a program. You are an athlete who needs to recover, 7 Movement has a program. So, let's see what Dan can teach us about the business and about health, because as an entrepreneur, he's taking his health at very high priority. So if you have questions, do not hesitate to ask them below. And if you need a business coach for 2022, because you want to develop your business online, make sure you contact Dan for his amazing program next year. But before that, enjoy the show.
Hey Dan, how are you today?
I'm good, David. How are you doing?
I'm very good. I'm very happy to have you in my podcast. We have worked together for a few years now, but I'm very happy to have you and share your expertise as an entrepreneur. So, do you allow me to come back on a few events of your career?
Yeah. Geez, where should I start? How far back should I go, David?
Yeah, I'm going to start and I'm going to introduce you in this timeline. No worries. So you were born in the 80s in a farm. So exercise was not something like you did on a specific time schedule, but all day long. But slowly you went to the team sports. You played hockey, baseball, basketball, and you were pretty good at that, I've heard.
Yeah. At least I like to think so. I get better each year. I get older. The stories of how good I was when I was younger get better and better. Definitely.
And that's once you reach the university, you were an opportunity to start in a business university, but you choose health sciences. So can you tell us why in between business and health you choose health? Because I mean, you could always teach kids on the side of a business degree. So why did you choose health sciences?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, like I received a scholarship to go to business school. And my first semester, I went to all of my business classes, and they were in finance, economics, accounting, and what I had in my mind for business school, I'm an entrepreneur. Like I love entrepreneurship, as you know, and that just did not align with what I was sort of learning that first semester. So I said, well, this is just not that exciting to me. So I kind of got, I guess, turned off of business right away, I remember, and started kind of looking around as to, hey, what am I actually interested in? What am I passionate about? And that's really when sort of the health sciences found me, and in particular the physical education program at University of Alberta is what sort of drew me in. And that's where I ended up going, is getting my education degree as well as my phys ed degree, as it's called at University of Alberta.
Yeah. All right. So you study health sciences. Do you still play sport at the time at the college level?
No, I never played any like varsity level sports, but I definitely was involved with, that was my transition from playing sports thinking I was going to go somewhere with them to going and playing sports for fun and recreationally. So was heavily involved in the intramural world and all of that stuff, but I was not playing as much competitive sport at that time. I'd been pretty injured up pretty good in my last year of high school through football and hockey. So I just wanted to go and have some fun. And that's what I did.
That's what you told me. You had a lot of fun at university, and nutrition at that time wasn't on top of your priorities, right? And you started to have some issues with the digestive system. So we will come back to this point later on to know today what you do and if you feel that it's influencing your efficiency as an entrepreneur. But at that time, so you have your degree, and you also meet at that time around 2000. John Sinclair, one of your partner in business today, and you get involved into more the specificity of fitness and training people. But again, there, instead of going on this direction, you decide to move to the Dominican Republic for teaching, right?
Yeah.
So what was your drive at that time? So you have health sciences, and you meet this future partner. At that time, you weren't. I guess you didn't know how you would work with John, but you decided to go to the Dominican Republic. What was your drive for
that? Yeah, that's a good question. I had my education degree. And I had done my practicums teaching, and I did not like it. I did not like teaching in North America, but I was told, like, if you go overseas, it's a little bit of a different experience. And then, so this opportunity sort of came to me from the Dominican Republic, and I said, hey, let's give it a shot. And it was an opportunity to teach physical education and health to pre-kindergarten through grade 12. So it was a nice, breadth of experience to go and do that. So I kind of looked at it as just an opportunity to go and learn a bit more, apply some of the teaching principles I learned in school. And all in all, it was a really great experience and sort of, helped round out a lot of my thoughts around health and exercise. And at that time, like say, I was working with John. We were just kind of at the beginning stages of, figuring out what we were doing with 7 movements and what message we were going to try and deliver through that company. So it was a nice informative experience for myself.
So you had already 7 movement when you went to the Dominican Republic?
Well, it didn't really exist, but the idea existed.
The idea was there. So
John and I had been talking about it and talking about sort of different concepts and challenges that we were seeing in the health and exercise industry, and what was frustrating us about it. So those little pebbles were there, but we just hadn't really started the company yet. We hadn't written any of our books to that point.
Yes, that was my next question. So you wrote a first book in 2013 on the concept of 7 movement already, or was it another topic?
No, it was under the concept of 7 movements. So like John and I had talked about what 7 movements was. And we wanted to do 2 things. We wanted to invite people into this exercise space who we felt had never really been invited before. And then 2, we had this sort of like microdosing movement concept, as you know, sort of brewing. And we're like, what can we do with this? And so the first book we actually wrote, I'd gone to John and I said to John, listen, my grandma, she loves gardening. If you were her coach, how many movements would you need to show her to help her get moving better in the garden? And he just sort of randomly threw off the top of his head 7 movements. And that's how the company started. So our very first book we wrote was called 7 Movements to Keep You Gardening for Life. And that was dedicated to my grandmother, who spent a lot of time in the garden. And all it was just, it outlined the principles of 7 movements. But gave gardeners 7 simple strategies to get their body ready for gardening, essentially. So that was kind of the first book. And then the second book came after that, and that was more geared towards office workers.
The office workers, yeah. That's how I met your and discovered your work through John. Actually, he was in Brussels for a visit, and that's how we talk. And that's how I asked him if Seven Movement was in French already, and it wasn't. So that's how we met, and I'm very happy about that. So 2014, this second book, and 2015, you wanted to launch an app on the same principle to bring people to more movement during the day.
Yeah, so obviously at that time, it was around 2015-ish, we were like, what's the next step after a book? And we knew like we needed to create some sort of digital way of delivering this concept of microdosing movement. And of course, we came up with like, hey, we're going to build an app. And then you had two Saskatchewan boys with no technical background trying to put together how to build an app, which was pretty interesting. So we did okay. We put something together. We cobbled together what resembled a web-based app and got people, microdosing movement throughout the day. And then the concept just kept growing, and we started talking about like what are the applications of this type of exercise programming, and how can we again start inviting more people into movement who we felt were just being left behind by the fitness industry. So that's around the time where we really started thinking about like, hey, what can we do with this concept? We don't need to be technical experts and build an app. We can figure out how to bring this idea and this concept to the masses in many different ways.
Yes, look, actually in 2017, the microdosing concept of Seven Movement just get bigger and bigger, and you really create the company, right? And you could at that time bring your first thought of business with your passions of health. So at that time, do you remember how you were feeling about being able to create a real business? Because also that's another things you do today. You are a business coach, but to bring these two passions together, were you scared or more excited about the idea?
I think there's a little bit of both, right? There's always, I think when you're starting out in something new, you always have this little bit of imposter syndrome, is like, who am I to sort of bring this to the world? And I was pretty lucky to have John Sinclair, my co-founder, as a co-founder, because I respected him so much as an exercise professional. As you know, he's one of the guys who train the trainers and teach us stuff. So that gave me that little boost of confidence to know like our programming's on point. I can just focus on the business side of this, which is what I was really good at. And so it ended up being a really good marriage in that sense, to bring sort of our two skill sets together. And that's what it really allowed us to like build Seven Movements. But heck yeah, it was pretty scary at the beginning to figure out or just to take on such a large project, I guess, and commit to it.
Yeah, a project for a living, not just like a hobby. And on the side, people were interested in what you were doing on the business side, and by accident or by chance, I don't know which one you want to choose, you started to coach other friends on the business side, right? And today you do 50% of coaching on the business side and 50% for Seven Movement. And you realize something that really it triggered me in your few lines you sent me before this interview, that you found similarities between coaching health and coaching business. Can you explain it a little bit more?
Yeah, very much so. So yeah, I always call myself like an accidental business coach, because as I built Seven Movements and we got a little more successful, friends and colleagues started asking me for help, and that just sort of evolved now into, helping basically health-based entrepreneurs take their businesses online. But what's really interesting from a coaching perspective, having coached people more in a health capacity and now in a business capacity, the similarities that exist around the challenges. Obviously, the technical, challenges are different, but the concepts are quite the same. I mentioned imposter syndrome. Who am I to do this? Am I worth this? We deal with that in health all the time. People not feeling worthy of getting healthy and feeling better and take care of themselves. That happens in the business world. Overcoming obstacles, building a resilient mindset, right? Because just like starting a business, starting a health journey, particularly when you're not that healthy to start out, you need to have resiliency, right? And because things are going to get hard. It's not an easy path. Just like in entrepreneurship, things are going to get hard. As much as Instagram wants to tell you how easy it is, once we start doing it, we realize how difficult that is. So from a coaching standpoint, helping people develop the tools in order to deal with that resiliency piece goes just across the board, from the business coaches I work with and the health coaches. And I know it's just like an interesting insight to see the similarities between the challenges that exist with both those people, because they're trying to get from A to B, right? They're trying to move from over here to over here. I'm either starting my business and trying to make it successful, or I'm starting unhealthy and trying to get healthy. And it's like, hey, how do we coach them along this road that's going to be weaving, and there's going to be things in their way, and there's going to be challenges that pop up. So from a coaching perspective, that's just really interesting to me. It's really exciting. And like I say, it's a little bit different tasks that they have to do to get there. But the mindset's the same.
The mindset is similar, and also there's no secret or magic
There's no secret formula. I'm going to rip on Instagram a bit. Like, they make it seem like, well, just follow my formula, right? Follow my formula, you'll be a millionaire. Follow my formula, you'll be super healthy. We know it doesn't work that way.
We know it, and we need coaches to guide us for this path. So in 2021, this year, you are on launching a virtual wellness hub. Can you tell us a little bit more about this new project?
Yeah, so that's the new evolution of 7 Movements, essentially. So till this point, 7 Movements, as you know, David, has been a collection of sort of on-demand programs. So you buy the program and you're going to get a whole bunch of 7-minute microdoses of movement. You can either do it at your desk or in your home or whatever. And they're all sort of geared towards an outcome. So we've got 90-day programs. We've got 21-day programs. We got all kinds of programs at 7 Movements. And they're all super effective and fun to do. But one thing that we've noticed over the last, actually ever since we started, but collecting our data over a period of time, is that when those on-demand programs were acting more as a supplement to one-on-one coaching. So someone had a coach and they said, hey, we're going to put you on this microdosing program of movement, and that's going to be your sort of daily movement homework. We had super high levels of adherence and success of people doing that program versus people who just purchase the program. They generally probably do a few days and then drop off, like every other online program that probably exists out there. So that was really interesting piece of data that we saw. So we're like, okay, we started working with a ton of coaches and said, hey, use this as your exercise supplement. And we started seeing a lot of success. So we're all coaches at 7 Movements. I'm a coach. Johnny's a coach. Gio, all these guys. So we said, hey, like, why don't we build some actual 7 Movement services and have some coaching available through us? Because we're the ones who built the supplemental program. Why don't we do the coaching as well? And so in November 1st, the launch of 7 Movements Virtual Wellness Hub will come, and we'll be able to offer a program we're calling Momentum, which will be a coach supported program for those suffering from chronic conditions.
Right.
that will use our 7 movement on-demand resources as a supplement, but layer in coaching over top. And it's really cool. We get that program, you get a health coach, an exercise coach, a dietitian, and a mental health coach,
Awesome.
all umbrellaing over your health.
Exactly.
So super, as you can tell, I get really excited when I'm talking about this. And that program is going to be sort of the first, I guess, coach-led program that we've launched at 7 Movements. So we're super, super excited about that.
Yeah, I know about the project, and I think it's a very brilliant idea, because as a coach, sometimes we want to refer to someone for another part of the health of the coachee or the client. And sometimes it's hard because we need to share information. So here, everything will be under the same, as you say, umbrella. And it's like to have a staff. I mean, high performance athletes have a staff with a physio, with a medical doctor. And here you will be the first company to offer a staff to individuals who needs that. Because as you mentioned, chronic disease, it's hard on the daily basis, and you need some help on the health side, on the dietitian side, on the sports side, and on the mental side. So it's awesome, actually. So that's on the 1st of November, right?
On the 1st of November, yeah, we're super excited about it. I always talk about the Momentum program is like, if you talk to someone with some sort of chronic condition, right, their well-being often seems like, if you could imagine just like a big boulder, right, with well-being written on it, and they're all alone trying to get some momentum and push this boulder forward and get some momentum in their wellness. And you know, they throw diets at it, they throw exercise programs at it, maybe their doctor gives them some pills to throw at it, but they can never get that boulder moving. Momentum's about those 4 coaches coming up right next to you, and to start pushing that boulder forward with all their tools and expertise. And then once we get it rolling, right, now we just need to like touch base once in a while and keep that momentum flowing. So super excited about that program. I've talked about it a lot, so I'll stop now, but it's because it's really fresh in my mind right now. So I'm really pumped about it.
Yeah, no problem. And you have another project very interesting for next year called Dare to Grow. And there you also bring a lot of passions together because you want to specifically help health coaches, right?
Yeah, so Dare to Grow is, that's on my business coaching side of my business. And the goal of that program is to take 20 health-based entrepreneurs in 2022 and help them build their online coaching business. And I just I got really frustrated with the state of the business coaching industry. I always thought of, I don't know, you grew up with coaches, right, in athletics. And like, if my football coach had given me an online course and said, here, Dan, here's how to play football. Here's the playbook. It's all in this course. You take the course and then you go play. I know how little success I would have had on the field at that point. So this whole program is a year-long project where I just provide unlimited support to my entrepreneurs that are working with me, like a coach, I think, should. And just kind of be like their business partner in the back pocket that sometimes we need. As you know, like entrepreneurship can be a really lonely feeling place.
Exactly.
So I want to be, you know, that person that they can call on whenever they have a technical issue or a problem, a big sales call coming up. And then of course, help them develop the framework and strategies they need for that successful online business, because it's very specific what works, particularly for individual coaches in today's marketplace. And so that program is launching January 15th, 2022.
Yeah, it's pretty soon.
Yeah.
All right. So we discover in a few minutes your career in a few words. So as an entrepreneur today, with these two main business, like the 7 Movement business and your coaching business, you also need to work some hours and to find your own balance. And knowing all these informations, could you share with us what are your routine in terms of exercise, in terms of nutrition today? Because you told us that you had injuries when you were a young players, you had some issues with your digestive system. And of course, we are not Superman. Even if we know the informations, we need to take care of ourselves too. So would you share with us a few of your routine to keep this energy and this creativity? Because these last 4 years, you haven't been stopping creating new program, new ideas. So how do you do it on a daily basis?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, I'm extremely busy. However, yes, it's super important that we model the way for clients. So we're going to be health coaches. We need to take care of our own health. But I guess part of my strategy is to surround myself with like really amazing coaches like yourself and John. And so that keeps me honest always, because I always see what you folks are up to and try and mimic some of that. But I guess from a routine standpoint, the big one that I never miss ever is walking. And I've got a dog, Kona, and we always get 10,000 steps every day. That's kind of the non-negotiable routine piece. And then I do try and spend some time in the gym to do whatever I feel like doing that day. I don't have much of a routine in the gym. It's more just, you just go on feel. And when you've been a lot around fitness as long as we have, it's kind of like, what do I feel like today? How's my body feel? And then on the nutrition front, something I've always struggled with right through university. As I said, I was your typical really crappy food eater through university, ramen noodles and craft dinner. Yeah, that's the one thing that I probably still need to work on as a coach myself. And but it helps. My wife and I share cooking duties, so that always helps. So from a routine standpoint, that it's nice not to be in charge every time. But yeah, that's I get asked this question quite a bit, like what's my routine? And what I've always told people is I used to try to follow other people's routines all the time. Like I'd read a book and like, oh, that sounds great. But it never really worked for me. Right. And so I just kind of had to find my own way. So that's what I always encourage people to do now. It's like, okay, test some things out, take some things from David, take some things from Dan, take some things from whoever, some book you read, and find out what really works for you. Because I mean, we know the best practices are the ones you're going to do consistently.
Exactly. And what's very important in what you say is that walking is something you never miss. And it's easy. Everyone can walk. And when you walk, you just move, but you also free your mind, and you can really, as an entrepreneur, get out of your office and really get some rest for your mind and some movement for your brain. So it doesn't need to be very complicated as soon as you do it every day. And that's one of the very important points for 7 Movement. It's that 7 Movement, it's 7 minutes every day. Doesn't take too much time. You must find 7 minutes at least, and eventually twice a day to keep moving. And
actually, that's a really great point. I do practice my own program. In particular, my favorite one is our Liebert Fitness Equalizer Bar daily dose program. So that one's really, really fun to participate in. Yeah, like I get asked a lot, how do you switch out of like 7 movements mode into business coaching mode? And when you're working with 10, 20 different companies at any given time, you kind of have to like switch gears often. And I find the best way to do that is to get outside. And even if it's a quick 15-minute bout, right? I live right next to Stanley Park now, which is really nice in Vancouver. So I can just go buzz through there, reset my mind, and then take on the next challenge. So those little, that's the whole idea of microdosing movement, right? Is to give you that little boost, allow you to switch your mindset, change your physiology a little bit, and get you back on track.
Exactly, exactly. And so, if you had an advice to give to entrepreneur who struggle today with stress with the last 18 months, because it has been a little bit complicated for all entrepreneur, and I really feel and think that entrepreneur, if they can put their health back onto the business model too, it's a very important point. But what, because you work with coaches, so you work with entrepreneur in different market in different area, so you can see that in any areas you need to take care of your health, because you are the pilot, and if the pilot is not there, it's not going to go anywhere. But
Right.
with your expertise as a business coach and a health coach, what would be your advice for entrepreneur who today feel tired, stressed, don't see any way out?
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, my biggest piece of advice is to keep it simple. So I teach entrepreneurs a lot about their marketing messaging and their clarifying their offer and stuff. And there's a gentleman with a company called Story Brand, and he says, if you confuse, you lose.
Mm-hmm.
In the marketing world. And I find it exact same with our health routines. If we overcomplicate them, we won't do them.
Yeah.
So keep it super simple, move a little throughout the day, try and get outside, spend some time in nature when you can, do your best with what you're putting in your body. If you find yourself stressing about, if you're stressing over not doing anything about your health, that's a challenge, right? So keep it simple. Not great, expert advice from the health coach, but it's really, important that, again, the things that we're going to do, the best things we're going to do for our health are the things we do consistently. And the things we do consistently are going to be the things we keep super simple. So that would be my big piece of advice, particularly if you're struggling.
Yeah.
Keep it really simple.
Have you seen in your practice some coaches who were not taking care of their health, and by just doing because it's something hard for us as coaches to say keep it simple, because they're going to say, oh yeah, but for you it's easy because you always do sports, and no, it's not that much easier for us. I mean, yeah, if you never practice sports, it can be hard to go to the gym, but not for a walk. And for a health coach or a sport coach, if you feel tired, you will feel that walking is not enough. But it's good for everyone. So have you seen in your practice coaches, entrepreneur who were struggling and decided to just walk 10 minutes a day and really feel a difference?
Yeah, I mean, entrepreneurs are pretty notorious for not taking care of their health and just working through everything. So yeah, like the easier they can make it on themselves, the easier it's going to be for them to participate in some health related behaviors. That's why I love walking, because like you say, everyone can do it. You can skip away real quick, and you can just build movement into your environment, right? And ensure that you're not just sitting there staring at your screen all day. And
yeah, 7 movement is a very good example, because you can do all these exercise when you wear a professional suit or a skirt for women, and you just do and move, and then after you can go back to your brainstorming or your meeting, and it's very easy. So that's the really core of 7 movement. So I guess in any situations you can apply these these part. I like when you say snack of movement. I think it's really clear of what a snack is.
yeah, well, I think a lot of people know, like most people snack throughout the day, especially the work day. So they're like, okay, I know what a snack is. So we're like, well, what if we turn one of those snacks into a movement snack instead? So instead of the chocolate bar for the energy boost, we give you a 7-minute movement session. So now you're going to get a movement session and the energy boost you want without the chocolate bar or the 3 o'clock coffee or whatever you might be having. So yeah, I think the idea of a movement snack, people can they get it right away because we all snack throughout the workday.
Yeah, it's easy to understand. So I would have another question because previously I asked you about your routine, but I forgot to ask you because we see where you go on the seven movement side, but what would be the most the stronger drive for you on the business side for the long term? Or would you see, so what would be the ideal journey of seven movement? Now we have the seven movement, the platform that we're going to talk in a few minutes. If people wants to join, because the platform is free if you want to start with something, and you have the hub with really new. What would be the future? What is, as a business coach and a health coach, what drives you for seven movement?
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of seven movements was to invite people into this exercise space who either didn't feel they belonged before because it was all high intensity stuff, and they're like, well, I'm not going to go do that. Now it's like, hey, can you do 7 minutes to make yourself feel better? And then just to make exercise a little more accessible to people. So I think the idea behind what we're doing at Seven Movements is exciting because it just makes that idea of people moving throughout the day just a little bit easier. It's not like I need to change into my gym clothes, and run down to the gym and do a bunch of stuff. I can just grab a quick movement snack. So I think the goal or the dream for Seven Movements is it becomes a little bit, we build more awareness. So people know this is available. We get smarter with our programming, which we do every year because we've got some pretty big brains behind that. We just keep sort of moving forward. I'm excited about this coaching element that we're layering in, particularly for those with chronic disease, another very classically underserved community with the exercise and fitness industry. We just haven't done a good job of serving them well. Because it's crazy to take someone in chronic pain and be like, hey, go join an Orange Theory class and exercise. Come on, what's wrong with you? It just doesn't work that way. So I'm hoping we can, provide another way of doing things in our space and contribute. And maybe then we're able to move more people into that traditional fitness space. Yep. We provide that bridge for them to move from I'm in pain and not moving at all to now I can do whatever I want. I could play sports. I could go to the gym. I could just go for walks. I can play with my kids, whatever they want to do. We're able to allow them to do that.
Yes, because Seven Movement offer a lot of solutions. You have the solutions for the office. You have solutions for new moms. You have solutions for your grandma who wants to garden.
Yeah.
You have solutions for the chronic patient. You have solutions for recovery. You have solutions for warm up. So yeah, you have strategies for almost every kind of situations. If you are an athlete or if you are someone who just wants to enjoy the garden. So do you have on top of your mind another category of people you would like to invite to this movement later on?
Yeah, that's a good question. We talk about that all the time. We see some potential, particularly in people who are returning to work from injury.
Yeah, right.
That being an excellent tool to help them make their way back into the workplace and maybe on to modified duties and then back to regular work. And then, as you know, another program that's coming out here in November is our long COVID recovery program. So folks who are trying to get their health and energy back after suffering about a COVID, and just microdosing their way back through movement, back to health. So those are a couple of communities, but you're right. Like the cool thing about what we're doing is there's applications everywhere. And we have a lot of people who have taken our office programming, and then they're like, hey, I use this before my soccer game now too. And they use that strategy because it made them feel good. So like, there's so much crossover and excitement around what we can do as we teach people these little bites of movement. And the cool thing is we're doing it with amazing coaches like yourself, like Johnny, like Amy, who then educate people. So now they're using these tools out and about, you know, in their everyday lives. And maybe we didn't need the app to begin with. We just needed to teach people how to do this. And now they can practice some self-efficacy and use them when they need it.
Exactly. And we have now some options in French also. So that's serving another
That's exciting, by the way. We're really excited to have, we've got the French version of the office program.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. That's something anyone who's a French speaking individual needs to check that out, because you did an amazing job filming that. And I'm excited about that one as well.
Yeah, because we have the 5 minutes break for the corporate world that we started last week, and that start to be more and more known. So that's another solution for people who wants just to have a 7-minute break every day in live with as you mentioned, very amazing coach. I've seen a few of these sessions. It's very fun. It's very nice, and it takes a break, and it gives you an opportunity to take an appointment with yourself.
Yes.
Because it's every day at the same time, and you can, I haven't done anything yet today, and I'm just going to join the coach today and move for 7 to 10 minutes and feel great, and I can continue. And maybe I'm going to go to the gym tonight, but at least I will not spend the whole day sitting on my chair.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mentioned this in a post the other day. It was if you participated with us last week, all 5 days, they were doing 35 minutes of movement that you otherwise wouldn't have had. And that's just for showing up at 1 Eastern for 7 minutes every day and just, you know, have fun moving with a coach. So it adds up.
Yeah, and because you mentioned walking is very nice, but with the 7 movement, you move on the 3 plan of the 3 dimensions, and it's also something very important that I like when I saw the 7 movement for the first time. So, Dan, with all these projects, all these informations and program, where can we find you? Where can people who are following this podcast can get involved themselves in a daily routine?
For sure. So everything 7 Movements related, you can go to 7movements.com. That's all spelt out. And you'll be able to find everything we're up to on that one, including joining our teammate program, which is this free live session every day at 1 Eastern. So be sure to jump in on that. And then for any coaches out there looking to build an online business in 2022, our Dare to Grow program is accepting applications, and you can find that at timetotake-action-coaching.com. And that's my sort of like my personal coaching website.
Perfect. I will put all the details on the bottom of this video, but so people who prefer to hear it, they can hear it from you. So thank you very much, Dan. I work with you for some years now, and these last few months even closer. I'm very happy to be in your team because it's a lot of inspiration, and I'm happy to having you today for the podcast, because even if I knew most of what you said, it's refreshing. It's nice to have some stories or some informations along this interview, and I'm very happy that you could find some times, and we will see each other pretty soon. And I'm going to jump into the French teammate program in November too. So for people who follow us, can be another opportunity with coaches in Europe and in Canada.
Yeah, super exciting to be here. Honored to be on your podcast, and obviously amazing to have you part of the 7 Movements family as well. So yeah, lots of exciting things to come. We'll have to do another one of these in a year, and let everyone know where things are at. And yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Dan, for bringing me into the team. Thank you all for listening to this podcast. You know, you have one podcast a month in English with my funny accent, and one podcast every week in French. So see you next week for the French one, and see you next month for the English one. Take care. Bye-bye, Dan.
All right. Take care.